Welcome to one of the most important videos you'll see in all of 2023. If you think the world is safe and sound, you're in for a rude awakening. The future is all about gold and BRICS. And if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss the boat. But it's not just about making money. This is about survival. Right now, the world is on the brink of a crisis. The global economy is teetering on the edge, and the threat of war is looming. The United States is facing unprecedented challenges from the BRICS nations who are growing stronger and stronger by the day. And if you think that this is just a game of economic one-upsmanship, think again. This is a battle for supremacy, and the stakes are higher than ever before. The world is changing, and if you're not ready to change with it, you're gonna get left behind. But don't worry, Sama's here to help. In this video, we're going to show you why gold and BRICS are the future, what you need to understand, and why you need to pay attention. Together, we'll go on a journey through the world of finance, geopolitics, and understand the urgency of the situation by looking at cycles. So buckle up, because yes, you'll learn 7 reasons why gold is destined to go up. But this isn't just about gold and BRICS. This is about the future of the world. You ready? Let's dive into it. Here are the 5 most compelling reasons the gold price is likely to move up over the next year. Number 1, inflation. With the unprecedented levels of government spending, which is the real key behind inflation, and decades of low interest rates, and all the money that was created in 2021, there is a real concern that inflation is not yet over. Gold is often seen as a hedge against inflation. So when inflation increases, which it will, it is likely to drive up the price of gold. Reason number 2, global economic uncertainty. The world still hasn't really recovered from what happened in 2020. And geopolitical tensions have created a lot of economic uncertainty around the world. Gold is seen as a safe asset to store wealth during times of uncertainty. And if the economic uncertainty continues, which it will, just look at the banks in my Euro prediction videos, economic uncertainty will continue to drive up the price of gold. As the world becomes increasingly unstable, with tensions rising between the major global powers such as the US, China, Russia, Europe, and Iran, money is going to run where it feels safe. If it's not safe in the bank, and people don't want to buy treasuries, then some of that money is going into gold. Next reason, central bank reserves. Did you know that central banks around the world are increasing their gold reserves as they try to diversify their foreign exchange and currencies away from the US dollar? All of that's going to put upward pressure on the gold price. This is a very important point that we'll revisit when we talk about BRICS. Next reason, increased investment demand. It's not just central banks buying gold. More investors are turning to gold as a safe haven asset to protect their portfolios, because more regular people are also buying gold, and increasingly more so because of videos like these. The increased demand for gold is likely to drive the price up as well. Reason number 5, gold is used in technology, and technology is continuing to advance. It's used in a lot of different components like electronics and healthcare, and these are the things that will boost up the demand for gold in these industries. And with demand comes a raise in price, which will drive up the price of gold. Reason number 6, BRICS. So who are the BRICS? Well, it's like some weird version of the Avengers, except it's for countries that are tired of being bitched around by America. We've got Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and they've come together to form a super group of emerging economies. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, those countries aren't exactly known for their cooperation. And you're right. Traditionally, this grouping would seem like a weird mix of crazy personalities on a TV show, a reality show or something, right? But somehow they've managed to put together their differences, put them aside, and work together towards a common goal. Why? What's inspiring this all of a sudden? Let's take a trip down memory lane and go to, let's pick Libya. Why not Libya?
Libya was accumulating gold in order to support the issuing and circulation of the African golden dinar. Now, this caused concern not just for France, but also for Britain and the States. When Gaddafi said to the French, this is none of your business, this is our continent, it's our oil, our banks, our currency, we seek independence. This was the last straw, if you like, for the French. They robbed Africa dry. The French economy is built on robbing Africa. And what Gaddafi was doing was very harmful to the imperialist interests of France. This was later admitted to by important figures like Hillary Clinton in her leaked emails, in which she actually says that the main reason for us attacking Libya is Gaddafi's attempt to issue the golden dinar.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
I'm sure it did.
So, what's the goal behind BRICS? To take over the world? Now, sort of. The goal is actually to challenge the dominance of the traditional economic powers like the United States and Europe. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, how can a group of countries threaten the almighty US dollar? Well, it's like a global game of Monopoly, except a couple of players have decided to keep playing while creating a plot to stop using the bank's money and use a different form of money amongst themselves. The US dollar has been the dominant currency in the world for decades, but the BRICS group are working to change that. They're building new financial institutions like the New Development Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and they're all looking to really provide alternatives to the traditional world of finance like the World Bank or the IMF that are really dominated by the US and Europe. But why do they want to do this? Because they're tired of playing second fiddle to the US and to Europe. They want to be players in the world economy, and they're not afraid to challenge the dominance of the US dollar. In fact, Russia feels like they have no choice. And it's working. The BRICS are becoming more influential in the global economy, and their currencies are actually gaining in value. Chinese yuan, for example, have been gaining ground as a global reserve currency, and other BRICS currencies like the Indian rupee and the Brazilian real are becoming more important. So what does this mean for the US dollar? Well, it's like a game of Jenga. The US dollar is at the top, but as the BRICS build their own financial institutions and gain influence in the global economy, pulling out the blocks from underneath the US dollar. And if enough blocks get pulled out, the dollar could come crashing down. So far, BRICS isn't doing a bad job. They've got a combined population of over 3 billion people, and their economies are growing like plants covered in Monsanto's Miracle-Gro or something like that. But what does that have to do with gold? Well, as these countries continue to grow, the demand for gold is skyrocketing. And we all know what happens when demand goes up, right? Prices go up too. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're a smart investor, you might want to consider adding some gold to your portfolio. And if you're not a smart investor, well, inflation's going to make investors out of all of us eventually, so you should probably subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And if not, I'll see you later in a year from now when the price of eggs is like 50 bucks. Now, reason 7. Financial astrology. I've been eyeing Q2 of 2024 as a peak in all-time highs in gold and commodities. Why? Watch my climate change wars video for a deeper dive. But because, guess what? For a quick recap, Jupiter and Uranus next year in the sign of Taurus will conjoin together and create a shock of all things included that are dominated by the energy of the zodiac sign of Taurus. This will be shortages, supply and demand. And for this reason, many commodities like oil and energy stocks will be going up.
What about people who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil?
What? Huh? Oil? Who said something about oil, bitch? You cooking?
I go into much further depth about this with my interview on climate change that I did with Lada. That's just a quick recap on gold. And if you did see that video, you might remember that I mentioned in the beginning that Aquarius with Pluto in it might be a very challenging transit for China. They have an Aquarius moon, the moon representing the people. But that's going to be a transit that ultimately empowers the eastern countries of the world by the time we get to 2040. What this means is, well, that improvement has to come with economic change. Now, the big question that was not answered in my Climate Change Wars video, will BRICS actually survive or succeed in their attempts? Will there actually be peace in the Middle East? Or do they need some more good old-fashioned freedom and democracy? Let's look at some charts. So first, we're going to start by looking at the chart for BRIC. That's B-R-I-C, not with an S. This is May 16, 2008, first time they got together in Russia. I see that the chart has a Sun-Venus conjunction. That's the first thing that draws my eye. In astrology, a conjunction happens when two planets come together in the same place in the sky. Their energies blend together and can create powerful effects. Conjunctions also represent the new beginnings of a cycle between what the two planets represent. The Sun in this case being authority and vitality, and Venus being harmony and of course money. And all of this is trining Jupiter in the chart. These are beautiful aspects. In astrology, a trine is when two planets are 120 degrees apart from each other in the sky. Trines are harmonious. They bring ease and flow with the two planets that are involved. It's like having a green light in your path to just go ahead and do what you want to do. Pluto in Capricorn is also trining the natal Saturn in this chart as well. And the moon, which represents the public, is in trine with Mercury, which tells us that whatever is formulating here is going to bring ease to the people, which the moon represents, the people of these countries. So whatever's happening on this day at this birth chart is going to bring ease not only to how these countries communicate, but how they can move trade between each other, represented by Mercury. Now, Uranus in Pisces, that's a slight concern. Uranus is named after the ancient Greek god of the sky, and it rules over things like innovation, change, technology, science, and most uncomfortably, shock and rebellion. Saturn has moved into Pisces, so eventually these two planets will conjoin, right? We know what a conjunction is, but the problem is these two planets don't like each other. Look up the mythology of Uranus and Saturn if you're curious, but they don't like each other. At the moment Saturn crosses over Uranus in this chart, there could be an attempt to actually freeze, steal, or block the efforts of a BRICS currency becoming digital. Or it can be some kind of hack or cyber attack against that group or their money. Now, Jupiter, the gas giant, the planet that brings expansion, it's going to move into the sign of Taurus on May 16th. This aspect is going to be fantastic for the BRICS group, and it's actually going to go join the Venus-Sun conjunction in the birth chart of the BRIC group. So not only is Jupiter and Taurus going to be great for the price of gold, as we know from my other videos, go watch them if you haven't, but now we're also learning that the same benefits Jupiter will bring to gold is going to be even more fantastic for the BRICS group. Very interesting. Now, let's keep going. And that's not all. Jupiter in Taurus is actually going to trine the natal Jupiter of this chart. So collaboration will grow and growth will grow through these countries over the next year with Jupiterian ease and abundance and expansion. Now, where the party gets a little sour is that they have the moon in the sign of Libra. Why is it important to know this before 2024? The south node, which is the point where the moon crosses the Earth's orbit from north to south, going down, will conjoin with the BRIC group's moon in Libra. The moon's nodes are important because they cause eclipses. The south node is associated with things like detachment, introspection, spiritual liberation. Eclipses are chaotic. The south node, known as Ketu in Vedic astrology, is associated with endings and letting go of things that no longer serve us. Spiritual growth may go up if you're so inclined, but at the same time, material growth may go down. And that node is going to meet the moon in Libra in 14 months. So isn't that interesting? It's interesting because I've been predicting that gold will be at an all-time high in the second quarter of 2024 for quite some time now. And we now know that the BRIC group has about a year of beautiful aspects to help push their growth forward. But in 14 months, they're going to get hit with that south node right on their natal moon. We could make a leap here and assume that the success that the BRIC group might have had for a year from now at the filming of this video, in combination with a crazy increase in the price of commodities, leads to some sort of retaliation by perhaps some world power that just cannot allow such growth to continue any further past that point. Honestly, it's a little bit of hubris to let them go 14 months from now growing, but that's certain world powers in the world for you. Now, Libra, and that's kind of my opinion, but now Libra in the fourth house of people, that's the homeland, the actual homes where the citizens and people are, whereas Aries in the visible 10th house at the top of the chart, representing the top of the sky, shows us that the BRIC group is going to be out in the world going to war and fighting for its independence. Something either materially destructive with the south node or spiritually enlightening will happen to the people of Brazil, Russia, India, and China once the south node joins the moon here 14 months from now. And again, Saturn will conjunct the natal Uranus of this chart 16 months from now as well, which can show some sort of blockage or freezing their attempt to make some sort of digital currency. Maybe these groups get cut off from the internet or get cut off from the broader global community. As I've said before in other videos, globalization is dead. It's not 2019 anymore. We're not going back. However, these aspects won't bring the BRIC group down. This is a powerful chart and is the chart of the type of group that can survive, and they will. But here's the catch. That's just a chart of the formulation of Brazil, Russia, India, and China. There are other countries interested in joining, which changes the chart. For example, South Africa joined, and that's what makes it BRICS. So let's take a look at that natal chart. In this chart, shows a lot more difficulty. We have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that is ending a square with the Sun, the North Node, and Mercury. We've got the Moon squaring Venus. We've got Mars squaring Saturn. There are squares all over this chart. BRICS chart, a lot of red. The BRIC chart, a lot of blue. Red means hard aspects, blue means easy ones. So unfortunately for the BRICS group, with an S, something about South Africa joining Brazil, Russia, India, and China is actually weakening the strength of the group overall in the long term, in comparison to the birth chart of the BRIC group. So as resource rich as South Africa might be, there could be some other issues related to that part of the world that isn't making the BRIC group as powerful as the natal chart that we saw at the very beginning. That could also be interpreted to mean that BRIC, those first four countries, are going to benefit the most from being in BRICS. It's good to get in early. Saturn is going to join this Jupiter and Uranus here in the 3rd house and go on to end up squaring the Sun in the North Node and the Pluto of the BRICS chart as well in about 18 months. That's gonna hurt. Maybe there's a world power that 18 months from now will be acting as that Saturnian force that applies pressure to the BRICS group. The BRICS group has nothing, the 5th house here in Taurus, to help really nullify the pain that Saturn will bring. And the ruler of Taurus, which is Venus, in the sign of Scorpio, Venus doesn't like being in Scorpio. So both charts are going to get hit hard after 14 months from now. Until then, BRICS has the green light to just grow and grow and grow. So let's summarize this. What is my take on all this? I'll tell you. Again, I did an interview with AstroladaOfficial in July 2022, and I brought up the analogy of the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry. You can think of all fiat currencies that we currently have in the world as a bunch of dirty laundry, a bunch of dirty shirts, and I mean really dirty. Let's pretend you have to go out though, and all of your shirts are dirty. You don't have a single clean shirt that you can wear, but you gotta wear clothes outside. Of all the currencies that exist in the world today, the United States dollar is the cleanest dirty shirt. You gotta wear clothes. You gotta use currency. Make no mistake, the dollar is a very dirty, filthy shirt that forces you to wear it by gunpoint. But hey, society says we need to wear clothes. What people really want to know is, Sama, will the BRICS group replace the dollar? Well, in order for them to do that, they're going to need a better shirt. Currently, none of the countries in the BRICS group have a better shirt than the United States. American citizens are not going to use the yuan or the ruble in America, okay? The dollar is what cab drivers in Asia and in South America, that's what they're using, because it's a more reliable currency. And dollars are everywhere. So then this brings us to the question, why are the central banks of all these countries accumulating so much damn gold? Told you we'd revisit this point. They will only announce what I'm about to tell you when the time is right. And that is that the BRICS group wants to use gold, as well as oil, and a basket of other commodities that these countries naturally produce, that the US has been paying for with dollars this whole time. They want to use gold and other commodities to create a brand new currency that is used to buy the commodities that these countries sell and trade in instead of the dollar. They want to put a bullet in the head of the petrodollar. Those of you who don't know what the petrodollar is, oil is required, or used to be required, to only be bought in dollars. That's what this group wants to change. You want our valuable commodities? You're going to have to use this new currency to get it. That's the game they're playing. This is the real root of the issue. The BRICS group wants to create a cleaner shirt. Maybe even dare say an actual clean shirt. Will the United States of America, the #1 country in the world with the most powerful currency and the most powerful military, allow itself to be dethroned by a better currency and a stronger alliance in the East? Again, you can watch the Climate Change Wars interview I did for the answer to that, but in short, the answer to that is no. No! The winning currency will be determined by war. And that war is already taking place right here, right now. My honest opinion, once the BRICS group vocally announces publicly to the world that they have a currency that they've created backed by commodities and by gold, the world will see the true retaliating force of the United States of America. And I hope that you all are somewhere safe when that happens. So with that, be well, one love, and